Hey guys, welcome to episode 5 of Wellness Chat Wednesday. I'm so excited to be here. I've got tons of great information and tips for you guys today. So let's get started right now. All right, so today I'm going to be talking about why a lot of us are unsuccessful in our goal setting when it comes to our New Year's resolutions. It's always one of those things where, sorry, let me shut my AC off. It's always one of those things where we set New Year's resolutions and we're really, really good about it for like the first few weeks or the first few months, and then eventually we start to drop off. So we're going to talk about some ways how you can ensure that you are successful in your goals this year. And a lot of what I'm talking about goes back to what I said in the very first episode when I talked about motivation. So a lot of this is going to be psychological stuff. And then at the end, I'm going to give you guys some really clear action steps that you can take today to get yourself set up for success going into the new year instead of trying to just kind of wing it once it rolls around, right? So I have lots of notes and things here for you guys, so let's go ahead and get started because this is definitely not going to be a short one. But I'll try to make it as quick as I can. So the first thing we need to realize is that everything that you do is a decision. And it's the only difference between completing a task or not completing a task or having the life that you want or not having the life that you want is literally a decision. You have to decide that it is something that you want or something that you want to do bad enough that you are going to do whatever it takes to get there, or you're going to do whatever it takes to make sure that happens. So really, everything is just a split decision. And a lot of the times we think like, oh, it took me a while to get here, and I have to wait for this to be a certain way before I can do this, or I have to wait for this to be this before I can do that, or whatever. And really, it happens like this. It is all just in that split second when you decide that you want it or it's going to happen. So that's the very first thing you need to realize before you even try to start setting resolutions or writing goals or doing any of that stuff. You have to decide that you are making a commitment to yourself and you are going to stick to it, and there's nothing that's going to change your mind, and it's like do or die. You have to make it like a do or die situation. Either I do this and I succeed or I fail, right? So there's Tony Robbins. If you don't know who Tony Robbins is, he is a really, really popular, very, very famous motivational speaker and life coach and entrepreneur and all these other things. And he talks about 3 pillars of power. And the first pillar of power is your focus. So I don't know if you've ever heard this saying before, but this is something I hear all the time from my coaches above me and other people that, other mentors that I train with and things like that. Where your focus goes, energy flows. So where your focus goes, energy flows. So did you ever have a situation in where you were thinking about buying something? Like say you were thinking about buying a car, or you were thinking about buying a bike or any kind of thing, and as soon as you made the decision that you were going to do that, you started seeing them everywhere, right? Or maybe you're really excited about an upcoming trip, or maybe you're really excited about something and you start seeing things that have to do with that everywhere before it happens. It's all just where your focus is. So if you are focused on something that you want to accomplish or something that, or where you want your life to go, then your energy is going to flow into that thing or that goal. So the very first thing that's very, very important is you have to get your focus narrowed down to what it is exactly that you want to accomplish or where it is that you want to go. Then the next pillar is having a balance of expectations versus emotions. So what you believe should be and what is, those two things together are the outcome of what is happening for you right now. So let me say this a different way. So if you believe that you should be making $100,000 a year and you are only making $20,000 a year, then obviously you're not going to be in a very good mental state and you're going to feel very defeated and you're going to feel very depressed. But if you believe that you should be making like, $100,000 a year, and you work and you get there to make that $100,000 a year, then you're going to be in a great emotional state. So we start to associate pain with the things that we think we can't have. And in associating pain with those things, then it makes you less likely to accomplish those things, because the tasks that you have to do to actually get there, you now have associated with a painful feeling of, well, I'm never going to have that. And I'm really glossing over things. I'm not really going in depth with, there's so much to this with the psychology behind it, and pain and pleasure and all those things. And I'm going to touch on all of these things today, but really, I mean, I could speak for hours about all this stuff. But it's really important to remember that you have to have focus, and you have to balance your expectations and your emotions. So you can't expect yourself to be way far ahead of where you think you should be when you're not at that point yet. I hope I'm making sense when I say this. So you have to keep your I don't want to say you have to lower your bar, but you have to keep your expectations at a place where you can meet them. Don't set yourself up for failure saying, I'm going to lose 100 pounds in a month. Well, that's just not going to happen. And we're going to go into how to set SMART goals and things like that, things that are achievable and are measurable and are, like actually able to be achieved. And we'll get into that in a little bit more, but you have to have that balance between your expectations and your emotions. I've heard this a couple times now from a few different speakers, so I kind of want to tell you about this. But basically, you have to find your why power. So this goes back to making the decision that this is something that you're going to happen, or that you're going to make happen. You have to find your reason why you want that to happen, and that is what's going to be your motivating force to get there. So think about if you're standing on one side of a building, there's two, sorry, I'm telling the story wrong. There's two 100-story buildings. You are on one, and there's $20 on the other side, and they tell you to walk a plank between them, and you'll get that $20. Well, there's no freaking way you're going to walk that plank between two 100-story buildings for $20. However, if on the other building across that plank is your only child and the building is on fire, then you're sure as hell going to cross that plank to get to your kid, because that's a whole different situation. So that $20 becomes totally irrelevant, but now the life of your child is in your hands, and you're going to do whatever it takes to get there, right? So you have to kind of have that mindset of whatever goal you want to accomplish or wherever you want to go, you have to find that why power that makes it that dire thing that it's either I'm going to do this or this negative thing is going to happen. So sometimes pain can be a good motivator, but sometimes it's not always the best motivator. And then the third pillar of power is really coming back to how you react to things. So if you're constantly blaming yourself or blaming other people for your situation, or, blaming your background or blaming your upbringing, or it's never about you, it's always about something else or someone else, then you're never going to get anywhere. You have to realize that the change has to come from within you first. So if you're not willing to make that change, then you're not going to make a change. You have to say, okay, I am making a commitment to myself that I'm going to do X, Y, and Z. I'm going to make this change. And I know that I'm going to have to change something within myself first, because the definition of insanity is doing the same thing over and over again and expecting different results, right? So if you're living your life day by day doing the same exact things over and over and over again, and wondering why you're never achieving any of your goals, well, there's your answer right there, because you need to make a change within yourself. So don't put all the blame on everyone else. Look at yourself. If you're not happy with one aspect of your life and you want to change something, look at yourself and see, well, what do I have to do? What kind of person do I have to become? What kind of mindset do I have to take on before I can achieve this goal, right? Okay, so now that we've kind of talked about finding our why power and just making the decision that we are going to make this change, which most of us are pretty good about when it comes to New Year's resolutions. The New Year rolls around and I'm going to lose weight, I'm going to make this money, I'm going to pay off this debt, I'm going to do all this stuff. And like I said, we're really good about it in the short term, but when it comes to the follow through, that's where we kind of get off track. And so when we follow through with things, it's usually for one of two reasons. It is either to avoid pain or to seek pleasure. So you are motivated either by avoiding something that is painful or getting something that is pleasurable, right? We're very, very simple human beings in that aspect. But you are more likely to choose avoiding pain over something that is pleasurable. So you are more likely to avoid something that is painful than you are to go after something that is pleasurable. So even though both of those things affect our decisions and affect our motivation and things like that, the pain one is definitely more motivating to us than the pleasure is. And think about that. I mean, you'd much rather not have to run 5 miles than to maybe lose a few pounds, right? So you put off doing the work to lose the weight because it's easier than having to put in the work that would cause you to be able to lose that weight, right? So you're avoiding that pain of the actual physical work and the sweat and the exhaustion and things like that, instead of looking at it as, well, if I do this temporarily, then I'm going to get to where I want to be, and that would be the pleasurable experience. So like I said, I'm just kind of touching on all of these topics. I'm not really going to go too in depth in it, but I hope that you're able to kind of understand what I'm going through. So we're either avoiding pleasure avoiding pain or seeking pleasure. So why do we procrastinate? And usually we procrastinate because there is pain associated with whatever it is that we're trying to do. So if we're putting off writing a paper, we're putting off grading papers, we're putting off losing weight, we're putting off paying off debt, we're putting off all of these things because doing that in the short term is painful. So we wait until we don't have a choice anymore. And then when that point comes, then you've already associated so much negativity with that action that you're less likely to actually follow through. Now, some people might say, I work really well under pressure. And that might be true. But the reason for that is because you are forced to make that split-second decision. So it's not necessarily that you are better working under pressure. It's just that you have no other choice. You have to get this done or you're going to fail, and you're not willing to fail. So why can't we make that decision earlier instead of waiting until we hit that point? Well, that comes down to the avoiding pain versus seeking pleasure. The thing that we want to do, we have pain associated with, so we wait until it's no longer a choice anymore. So some things, this can apply to anything. It can apply to dieting. It can apply to why we wear makeup. It can apply to financial stuff. It can apply to anything, but it's really important that you understand that it all comes from inside your brain, and it is literally a split-second decision that can completely turn your life around 360 degrees. And a lot of people think that motivation and following through with goals and things like that has to do with your willpower, but I'm going to tell you right now, it has nothing to do with willpower. Willpower has nothing to do with anything. Every person is capable of doing anything that they want, but most people wait for a rock bottom before they spring into action to do the thing that they were trying to avoid. So we're going to go back to this, in a split decision and this finding your why power. You have to find a reason for why you want to do the thing you want to do and make it dire. Make it like you have to do this right now. There is no waiting. This is the time. You can't get out of it. You just have to do it. And that might seem negative at first, but once you start to see the positive effects from you following through with those behaviors and doing the things you need to do to get to where you're trying to go, then it becomes a positive thing because now you're seeing results, and now you're getting that positive feedback from the things that you were avoiding in the first place. So then that becomes a driving factor, and then you're more likely to follow through. So really, if you can just get over that first hurdle of I'm comfortable where I'm at and it's so much work to go where I need to go, and if you can just get over that first hurdle, find that why power, find that thing that makes it a dire situation of why you need to do this, then from there you're golden. So you got to get out of your own way, and just say, I'm going to do this. Okay? So, don't be avoiding. Don't avoid stuff. Okay? Avoidance is bad. And you got to be aware, you have to be aware of what your triggers are. So if you know that there is um, a certain place that you go that triggers you to eat really badly, or if you know there's a certain place that you go that's going to trigger you to spend all your money, if you know there's a certain action that brings up some emotional stuff for you, you have to be aware of that stuff and keep that in mind, because you are going to have to deal with that. So you don't, I mean, your whole life can't be about avoiding everything, but you have to be aware of what your triggers are. And all of your actions, everything that you do every single day, has a direct effect on where you are going in your life, or what your destiny or what your legacy is. So even the simplest thing as pushing that snooze button in the morning, and I'm going to be the first person to say that I'm completely guilty of this. So, I'm working through that as well. But as simple as just hitting that snooze button in the morning, you are training yourself that that is okay. You are making that decision that no, you do not need to get up at that time. You can stay in bed. A little thing as, eating one extra cookie or one extra piece of pizza. You are deciding that you need whatever that is and that you are going to consume it, right? So it's all about you. Every single decision you make is affecting where you're going in the long run. Because think about this, if you're snoozing every single day and you build that habit and you build that habit and you build that habit, eventually it becomes like second nature, and then you're constantly snoozing, you're constantly late, and you're wondering, why can't I ever get anything done, and why don't I have enough hours in my day? And really, you're spending 20, 30 minutes snoozing in the morning. You could be up and getting more stuff done. And think about over time, that 20 and 30 minutes compounds to where you could be getting hours and hours and hours of extra things done in your day, but instead you're making a decision to hit that button every time, right? Same thing with dieting. You're, like I said, you're making a decision to eat an extra cookie. You're making a decision to, eat an extra plate of food, or eat after a certain time at night, or you're making the decision to do all these things, and down the road, eventually it's going to lead to weight gain or to certain diseases and things like that. So every single thing you do is a decision. And I actually, speaking of this, I just got a Shine text yesterday that said we make on average 35,000 decisions a day. So that's 35,000 opportunities you have to make a slight tweak that could completely change the outcome of your future, of your day, of your month, of your year, of whatever. You have 35,000 opportunities to make a change. That's pretty crazy to think about, right? All right, let's keep going. So, another part of this, and I talked a lot about this when I talked about motivation in the first episode, are the fundamental human needs. Every decision that we make has something to do with our fundamental needs, whether it is, finding that safety, security, shelter, food, that those basic human needs, whether it's trying to find that love and connection from other people, whether it's trying to build, your reputation, your status from others, all of those basic human needs that I talked about before, they all come into play when deciding that you're going to make a change. Because like I said, every decision that you're making, you are doing somehow to fit one or more of those human needs. So if you are making decisions that are not reaching those human needs, then obviously you're going to feel a disconnect there. But that being said, those needs also can lead you to make wrong decisions, like staying in an unhealthy relationship, or continually having a terrible diet, or staying in a career that you hate, things like that, because you are safe. You are safe there. You know what to expect. How your day is going to go. You know how your life is going to go. And so you are thriving from that feeling of safety. But in your heart and your mind, you're totally miserable, because there's a disconnect between actually feeling fulfilled in what you're doing and just filling those basic human needs. So you have to kind of look inside yourself and say, okay, I say I hate my job and I never want to go back there again. But why do I continually keep going there every day? You've got to figure out what it is that you are getting from making that decision. Say, or this could be something totally different. This could be that you just constantly pass up on opportunities because you're afraid, or you don't want to make someone else feel bad, or something like that. You kind of like play it small. I just did a live video a few days ago of a quote, Marianne Williamson, about how your playing small does not serve anybody, right? You were put here on this earth to do certain things, and if you're not doing those things, then you're not serving yourself and you're not serving others. So you've got to kind of look inside yourself and see what am I getting from the decisions that I'm making, and how can I find that satisfaction in a different way and still fulfilled in what I'm doing as well. So I'm trying to think here. Okay, so breaking it down into the four like biggest needs that we try to fulfill. The first one is certainty. Like I said, that safety feeling. The next one is uncertainty. Sometimes in our life we need variety, change, surprise, things like that. And we will usually, kind of like cast off our morals to get that uncertainty in our life. So that could be through the form of cheating or things like that. When people do things like that, I'm not going to go into all the psychology behind uncertainty, but basically that's another one that if we don't have uncertainty in our lives, then we won't feel fulfilled, right? And then the third one is significance. We need that recognition from others. We need the not necessarily accolades and, not necessarily being famous and things like that, but everybody likes to feel significant, right? You like it when somebody congratulates you. You like it when you make a big accomplishment and people notice, right? So everybody seeks that significance in their life. And then the last, obviously, we talked about is love and connection. That's a very big motivator for people, and a way for us to feel fulfilled is when we have lots of friends, or lots of, we have a really deep connection, relationship with a significant other, or with our children, or things like that. So those main four, certainty, uncertainty, significance, and love and connection, are the four things that we are really, really, those are the four things that we need to actually feel fulfilled. So if you are missing any one of those things, then you're not going to feel fulfilled in your life. And so you're going to have to make a change to kind of see which one of these areas am I lacking in, and how can I make some changes so that I'm able to fulfill those needs. And then also, I'm forgetting here, growth and contribution. So we always need to feel like we are progressing, and we always need to feel like we are contributing to others. And if we're not contributing, we're not growing, we're kind of just stagnant, then of course also we're not going to feel unfulfilled. So there was actually 6, not 4, I apologize. So it would be certainty, uncertainty, significance, love and connection, growth, and contribution. So those are the 6 like basic needs that we have to be getting to feel fulfilled in our lives. And so a lot of times we have this kind of scarcity mindset where we feel like we just don't have enough, we don't have enough, we don't have enough. And if you are feeling unfulfilled, the biggest advice that I hear all the time from motivational speakers and mentors and life coaches and things like that is you have to give to be able to receive. Right? So, and I'm not talking about in money aspects necessarily, but we need to make sure that we are giving back to others, and then in turn, you will feel fulfilled. So it may not feel good at first, but I mean, some people thrive off of giving to others. Others, it's kind of like, I don't really like this. But trust me, if you are giving to others and you are doing the things that you were put on this earth to do, then obviously you are going to feel fulfilled from those actions. So let's transition now into kind of like out of the psychological stuff behind goal setting and talk about the actual pen to paper, what you should do to set goals. So, the first thing I tell everybody, and you've probably heard me talk about this before, and I think I might have talked about this on my first, wellness chat with motivation, is setting SMART goals. So what does SMART stand for? It stands for specific, measurable, attainable, relevant, and time sensitive. So I'm just going to kind of break each one of those down very, very shortly. So that your goals need to be specific. Instead of saying, I would like to lose 30 pounds, I would say, I will weigh blank on blank. And you need to fill in a date and give everything a timeline, which that comes with time sensitive at the end of SMART. But every single goal that you set should have a timeline. So you got to kind of reword your language. If you find yourself saying, I hope to pay off this debt, or I wish that I could lose this much weight, or I would like to blah blah blah, whatever. You've got to change your language. It is I will, I am, I will be X on X date. So you've really got to turn your language around and get into that assertive language that is I will, I am, I will, I will live in this place by this date. I will weigh this much by this date. I will have this, I will make X amount of dollars by the end of 2018, or whatever your goal is, but it has to be very, very, very specific. If all you ever do is say, I wish I want, then your energy is going to go into wishing and wanting, right? So you've got to make sure that you are using the correct language so that that's where your energy goes. If you tell yourself you're going to be in that spot by that time, then your brain starts to break down different steps and different ways that you can get to that place. But if you're just wishing and wanting, then your brain's just going to be working on wishing and wanting. M stands for measurable. So, like I said, you want to be, when you're being specific, you want to say, I will weigh a certain number. And if you put a number to it, or I will make X amount of money, X amount of dollars, then you can kind of reverse engineer what it is that you are trying to do. And you can break it down into smaller chunks. So, and give yourself like little checkpoints, little guidelines to go by, so you can see if you're staying on track. So say I will weigh 150 pounds. I'm just making up an example. I will weigh 150 pounds by June 1st, 2018. So if I know I have 6 months to get there, then I can kind of break it down into how many pounds do I need to lose each month, each week, and reverse engineer the exact steps that I need to get there. And that goes back to when I first started this, talking about you have to have or maybe I didn't mention that. Maybe I didn't mention that. You have to have a map to know where you're going, right? So the reverse engineering is essentially your map on how to get where you're trying to go. Because if you're driving around a state you've never been in before, how are you going to know where to go without a map, right? So if you're trying to attain something that you've never done before, you need a map of how to get yourself there, right? So SMART, or specific, measurable. The next one is achievable. So you have to set goals that are realistic and achievable. You can't say, if you're currently making $10,000, a year, and you want to be a millionaire by the end of 1 year. Well, that's probably not going to happen. I mean, it could, but it's probably not going to. So you want to make sure you're setting the bar not low, but you want to make sure you're setting it somewhere, like I said before, where you can actually reach what you're trying to get to. If you're trying to lose, 100 pounds in 1 month, that's not going to happen, obviously. So you need to make sure whatever goals you are setting are actually attainable and you can actually get there, so you're not setting yourself up for failure. R stands for relevant. Make sure these goals are what you want and not what someone else wants. We have a ton of pressure from parents, from family, from society, from TV, from celebrities, from government, from everywhere on the planet. You are being pressured to look a certain way, feel a certain way, be a certain way, work a certain job. There's so much pressure around. As soon as you graduate high school, you have to go to college, and then you have to get a full-time job, and then you have to work until you retire or until you die. That's like the mindset that everybody's kind of like stuck in, and it's slowly changing, but there's just a lot of outside pressures. If you've been with somebody for a long time, you go home to visit family, and it's like, when are you getting married? When are you having a baby? When are you doing this? And there's so many of those just outside pressures. So make sure the goals that you are setting are ones that you actually want to achieve, and you're not just trying to do to make somebody else feel better. So it has to be something relevant to you. And then T obviously is for time sensitive. Like I said, you want to set yourself a deadline, even if it's December 31st, 2018, that's fine, but you have to set that deadline so then, like I said, you can kind of reverse engineer the steps on how you are going to get there. So, steps for taking massive action, because I'm sorry to break it to you guys, but change does not happen without action. There are no quick fixes, there's no magic pill you can take that's going to drop 50 pounds off your body. There is no magic pill that you can take that's going to make you wake up in Hawaii on a vacation the next day. There's no, all these, you see all over the internet, all these quick fixes for everything. $25 for this, and, take a pill for this, and, this, just so many quick fix things. And I'm sorry to break this to you, but those things are not going to work. Change takes work. So there's 7 different things you kind of need to do to be able to take massive action. And the first is get disturbed. If you are not happy with where you're at, get pissed off about it. Get upset. Why the hell am I not making the money that I want to make? Why the hell am I going to a job I hate every day? Why the hell am I 50 pounds overweight? Why the hell am I torturing myself like this? Get upset about what it is that you want to change, because that's going to light a fire under you, and that's going to make you start to try to, think about the things that you can start doing and the changes that you can make within yourself to get you where you want to go. So that's your first motivator, is get disturbed. The second one is, like we said before, make a decision. It has to be a split-second decision that this is what's happening and this is what I'm going to do, and there's nobody that's going to stop me, right? Make a plan. We've already talked about you need to have a roadmap for where you're going. You're never going to get to your goals if you don't have a plan of action on how to get there. And I'm going to help you lay out that plan of action here very, very soon. Change your limiting beliefs. If you're constantly telling yourself the same story that I don't have enough money, I don't have enough time, I don't have, I'm too busy, I'm too this, I'm too that, then you're going to be those things. You're going to continue to be those things. If you keep, whatever you keep telling yourself, whatever story you keep telling yourself, that is what you're going to continue to live by. So you need to make sure that you're telling yourself the right stories so that you have self-confidence and you are able to make the changes that you want to make. Set yourself up to win. Like we said, that goes along with having a map and setting those goals that are actually reachable, that you're not going to fail, or you're not going to give up on your resolutions a few years down the road. You're going to actually be able to get there. Take massive action. Like I said, there are no quick fixes. There are no that nothing is going to happen without action. You hear all this stuff about manifesting and visualizing, and all these great things will come to you. Well, that's not necessarily true. You can sit and meditate and visualize and try to manifest all you want, and nothing's going to happen without you taking some sort of action. So you have to have that massive action plan for the steps that you're going to take to get there. And then surround yourself with success. This is a huge one, guys. This is a really, really huge one. Surround yourself with successful people. Surround yourself with people who lift you up, with people who support you, with people who inspire you. Find mentors, find coaches, find whoever you need to keep you in that space of success, because if you're constantly surrounding yourself with negative people, or people who are not willing to make a change, who are not willing to do the work it takes, then you're not going to either. We are the product of the 5 people we surround ourselves with most. They have the biggest influence on our lives. So if you are surrounding yourself, like I said, with negative people, then you're not going to have good results. So find your tribe, find a group of people, find a mentor, find somebody that you can surround yourself with that's going to help keep you on track and is going to motivate you and inspire you to be successful. So now I'm going to kind of give you some quick action steps that you guys can do. You're going to need a pen and paper. You don't have to get it right now. If you're watching the replay, you know, you can kind of pause me and go get it and come back. But these are all going to be pen to paper things that you can do and set goals. At the end of this year, so you can take that momentum into 2018 and not have to try to turn it around once we get there, right? I want you guys to be set up for success. I don't want you to come and say that you weren't successful once we get to January. I don't want to hear about people falling off of their goals and things like that. So here's what you need to do. First of all, you need to make a commitment to yourself. So you're going to write down on a piece of paper, I am committed to making my goals work. I am committed to making a change, or whatever it is that you need to write down, but you need to write that commitment out to yourself and sign it. Physically sign it with pen and paper. Okay? The next step is you're going to kind of go back through this year. Go back through 2017 and see how things have changed for you. And actually, I'm going to turn a light on really quick because I'm starting to get dark. Okay, that is much, much better. So first of all is making the commitment to yourself, okay? Write the commitment out, sign it on a piece of paper. Then the second step is to think about the year that you just had and write down a couple things from it. So write down 3 things that you are most proud of yourself for accomplishing this year. Write down 3 greatest lessons that you have learned this year. And write down 3 things that if you could do them differently, you would go back and do differently this year. So 3 things you're most proud of, 3 greatest lessons you learned, and 3 things you would go back and do differently. And then the next step is showing major, major, major gratitude for the things you do have. So you can write things down, like you can make a list of things that you're grateful for, or, you know, if you need some ideas, if you're not too sure where to get started with that, write down amazing people you have in your life, things that you love about your home, things that you love about your job, great friends that you have, a skill that you have that you're so thankful that you have, some ways that you've maybe experienced luck in your life, things like that. But just make a list of all the things that you are truly grateful for and all of the things that you do have and that you are happy about. And then after you do that, kind of take a second to check in with where you are in your life. So there's 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, 7, 8 different categories. I'm going to kind of read them off to you real quick. And so I would rate myself on like maybe 1 to 5 scale. I wouldn't go 1 to 10. That's kind of far. But like a 1 to 5 scale of how happy I am in each area of my life. And then you can kind of see which ones are lower and which ones are higher and which ones you need to focus on. And they should be even all around the board, because that's when you are going to be the most happy, is when everything is kind of in this nice little balance. They call it the wheel of life, right? It should roll smoothly. If you've got lumps and bumps and craziness, then obviously you've got some things out of balance in your life. So the different areas are physical, so your physical body, financial, business, lifestyle, mental, spiritual, family, and relationships. So I would rate myself on a scale of 1 to 5 in all of those different areas, and then see where are my low points, where are my high points, what am I happy with, what am I low with, and what do I need to focus on for this year, right? The next step is actually designing your goals. So for each of those areas that I just listed that you just rated yourself, you're going to write 3 goals, or maybe 2 or 3 goals for each area that you would like to accomplish this year. And dream big, guys. I'm talking dream big. Dream however big you want, however freaking ridiculous you think that your goals are. Write them. Write them down. And so do like 2 or 3. If you have more for one area, that's great, but just write them down for each area of your life. And then once you've gone through and done that, you're going to go back through all of those goals and you're going to pick out your top 10. The top 10 that you feel are the most important for you to focus on first. of all of the ones that you wrote down for every area. So when I did this not too long ago, and when I went back through, I kind of went back and picked there's 8 categories. So I went back and picked the most important one to me out of each one of those categories. And then I had 2 extra at the bottom, and I just kind of went back through all of the goals and picked out the other 2 that I really felt like I needed to transition, or I needed to focus on. So I think I have like 2 financial goals and 2 physical goals, and then I have 1 for like everything else. And then after you've written your top 10, and make sure you give yourself deadlines. Remember, we said they have to be specific and time sensitive. So make sure you give yourself a deadline for each. You're going to pick your top 3 banner goals. They're called banner goals. And those are the 3 that you are going to really, really, really focus on this year. So all that other stuff is good, yes, but we want to keep it, we don't want to be focusing on like 1,000 things at a time, because if you're setting, even 10 resolutions, that's a lot of stuff to try and change all at once. And it's the same thing as trying to overhaul your diet or, change your lifestyle habits. You need to start small and ramp yourself up. And trust me, once you get going on these goals, once you actually start to see results and you start to see progress, you're going to feel that motivation and you're going to feel that fire, and it's going to fuel you to start tackling the other things. But you've got to narrow it down to where I want to start first. So write down your 3 banner goals that you've picked from those top 10 you picked out of all those other ones that you've written down. So we're kind of like slowly chunking it down to those 3. And then once you have those 3, then there's some questions that you need to answer, or that you need to ask yourself. So I'm going to list those out now, just a few. So there is, who do you need to become to accomplish those 3 goals? What kind of person do you need to be? What kind of attitude do you need to have? What kind of mindset do you need to have? What kind of person do you need to become to achieve those goals? Then, what new habits or disciplines or behaviors are you going to need to start in order to take you towards those goals? So if you're saying you want to have all your credit cards paid off by the end of this year, because I know that's one of my goals for 2018, is to have both my credit cards paid off, then I know that I'm going to need to, not miss any days of school so that my paycheck's not deducted. I'm going to have to maybe try and find, a second job or something like that, which for me is coaching. So I already have that in place. Plus I give private lessons. So you may have to create these other avenues for you to bring in some more income if your goal is a financial goal. If you have like a weight loss or something like that goal, then you're going to have to start eating healthier. You're going to have to start working out regularly. You're going to have to implement those new habits in order to achieve those goals. So what kind of new habits or disciplines or things like that are you going to have to start in order to get you to those goals? The next thing is, what existing habits do you already have that are good that you can expand on or continue with that are going to help you get to those goals? So, if you're already working out 3 times a week, but you're not really seeing progress, and you have a specific physical goal you're trying to get to, maybe you have to switch to 5 times a week. Or maybe you've got to look at, if you're already kind of eating healthy, but you've got some cheat meals here and there, and you're starting to cheat more and more and more, maybe you have to say, okay, I already eat healthy, so now I've got to expand that and do even better with my healthy eating, and that's going to take me to where I want to go. So what kind of habits do you already have that you can expand on that are going to help you get there? And then the last thing, not the last thing. The next thing is, what poor habits do you have that you need to give up? So what are some things that are holding you back? What habits do you have that you're going to need to give up? Okay? And then from there, from those things that you've written, you're going to pick your top 3 modifications that you need to make and how you're going to implement them into your daily routine. So if if you have 3, you wrote down sorry, I lost my train of thought. You wrote down what habits you're going to need to have to get to this place. You wrote down what habits you need to get rid of to get to this place. You wrote down what habits you already have that you need to expand on to get to this place. Now, so since you wrote those out, now you're going to pick 3 of those that you are going to implement into your daily routine. So whether it's getting rid of something, adding something, or expanding on something, but pick 3 of those things that you need to add into your daily routine. and then write how you're going to add them into your daily routine and be really specific. So if you're going to say, I'm going to go from working three times a week to 5 times a week, then maybe go as far as to say, I'm going to work out on Monday, Wednesday, Friday, Saturday, Sunday, or something like that. Literally lay it out for yourself so you know exactly how you're going to implement that into your daily routine. And you're going to do those steps for each one of your banner goals. So whatever your first banner goal was, you're going to do all of those steps about the habits and things like that that relate to that goal and how you're going to implement those things into your daily routine, and that's going to get you to that goal. And then you're going to go to your second goal and you're going to do the same thing again. What habits do you need that are going to support that goal? And then you're going to go to the third goal and do the same thing. But I want you guys just to focus on those 3 banner goals for now, because start small. And then once you get that momentum rolling, then you can start to take on other things. But you don't want to overwhelm yourself too much at once. All right, so that was a lot of information. And there were some things that I just kind of like glossed over really quickly, a lot of the psychological stuff. So if you have any questions, if you want help writing your goals or setting your goals, or if you need somebody to help you stay accountable to your goals, then obviously you know I'm here for you. Reach out to me. I can help you. If you're really, really, really looking to take your life to the next level, I highly suggest that you find an accountability group or find a team or find something that you surround yourself with people who are doing the same thing, and that's really, really, really going to help you. I know for me, every year I set New Year's resolutions and I never, ever, 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 ever follow through with them, but this year is going to be different. 1, because I'm deciding it's going to be different, and 2, because I have the support of an amazing coaching team. All the girls on my team inspire me so much every single day. We check in together, we hold each other accountable, we keep each other on track, and just knowing that I have that group of people to show up for every single day it has made a world of difference in just the few months that I've been doing this coaching, and I cannot even wait to see where I'm at the end of 2018, because I know that they are going to kick my butt and keep me in shape and help me get to where I'm trying to go. So if you're looking for a group, or if you're interested in coaching or anything like that, reach out to me. We can chat about it. If you have questions about goal setting, questions about motivation, questions about anything, you need help writing them, like I said, reach out. I am here. I'm more than willing to help you guys out, because I want to make sure that all of you succeed in 2018 and have your best year you've ever had yet. So that's all I have for you guys tonight. Like I said, if you have any questions, let me know. And I look forward to seeing you guys next week for episode 6, which is crazy. So hope you all have a wonderful rest of your Wednesday night, and I will talk to you soon.